Alarms started blaring at FBI headquarters. Agents running in panic, classified files missing. But the 68-year-old janitor Joe in the corner didn't look surprised at all, because for 30 years, he was Don Castellano, the most wanted mafia boss in America. And today his son, FBI Director Michael, was launching the biggest anti-mafia operation in history. Joe Castellano was FBI headquarters' most trusted janitor. For 30 years, he'd worked in the same building, the same corridors. At 68, he looked like a harmless Italian-American grandfather. Agents called him Joe. Some had heard him humming Italian songs, typical old-school Italian immigrant. But Joe's real story was very different. In 1990, Don Antonio "Tony" Castellano was one of La Cosa Nostra's most powerful bosses. Among the 5 families, he was the most respected name. Loyal to Sicilian traditions, bound by the Omertà Code, he ran his family with old-school honor. That year, a massive federal operation began. Major crackdown under the RICO Act. They thought Don Castellano was dead. In reality, he'd orchestrated a fake death, undergone plastic surgery, and changed his identity. Where would be the safest place to hide? FBI headquarters, hidden in the heart of the enemy. For 30 years, he'd worked as Joe Smith. Every day, he emptied FBI agents' trash, cleaned classified documents, listened to conversations. Perfect intelligence source. But Joe's biggest secret wasn't this. His biggest secret was his son, Michael Castellano, was the FBI's new director. In America, where Italian immigrants built new lives from nothing, the ultimate irony was playing out. The son of the most wanted mafia boss had become the head of federal law enforcement. Ever realized you didn't know who your closest person really was? Type hidden identity. Every Sunday evening, Michael would come to Joe Smith's house. 2 Italian Americans having traditional Sunday dinner. Michael didn't know his father's true identity. Joe didn't know how dangerous his son's FBI career had become. "Papa, big news at the FBI today," Michael would say. "Biggest anti-mafia operation ever. I'm leading it personally." Joe Don Castellano would panic inside but keep his face straight. "Ah, very good, Michael. You make Papa proud. Those mafia men, very bad people." Michael shared every FBI development with his father. Joe received perfect intelligence. Which families were targeted, which operations were planned, who the informants were. But here was the paradox. Joe was no longer an active mafia boss. For 30 years, he'd chosen a peaceful life with iron will. He hadn't even told his own family his whereabouts. He'd completely left his old life behind through sheer iron will. Until that night. While working in the FBI building, a hidden phone rang in his janitorial closet. A line that had been silent for 30 years. Only family knew this number. "Don Castellano," an elderly voice said. "This is Consigliere Torino. We need you back. War is coming." Joe's hands trembled. The old world was calling him back. The Italian-American experience was always about this tension. Old country loyalty versus new country opportunity. Joe had chosen America 30 years ago. Now Sicily was calling him home. Ever lived between 2 different identities? Type double life. After that hidden phone call, Joe's life completely changed. 30 years of peaceful existence shattered. Consigliere Torino explained, the remaining Castellano family members were under attack. Rival families thought the Don was dead and were dividing territory. Young hothead capos were making moves. The traditional structure was collapsing. "Don, we need your wisdom. Your leadership. The family is bleeding." Joe listened quietly, his heart torn. These people were his blood. But revealing himself would destroy Michael's career. The FBI director's father being a legendary mafia boss? Career suicide? The next morning, Michael came to work excited. "Papa, you won't believe it. We discovered new intelligence about Castellano family operations. They're more active than we thought." Joe almost dropped his mop bucket. "Oh? What kind of activities?" "Oh, old school stuff, protection rackets, labor unions, construction contracts. But Papa, something strange. Their operations seem organized, like someone with real experience is guiding them. Joe realized the family was still operating under principles he'd taught them. Even without him, his leadership style was continuing. That evening, alone in the FBI basement, Joe made a decision. He used his janitorial access to classified files and found Michael's operation plans. The Castellano family was completely exposed. Arrests were scheduled for next week. His own family members would be destroyed by his own son. The iron will test was beginning. Save family and destroy son? Or let family fall to protect son's career? This was the American immigrant's ultimate nightmare. The old country and new country at war, with family caught in between. Ever had to choose between two people you loved? Type impossible choice. Joe spent a sleepless night thinking. In Sicily they have a saying, blood is thicker than water, but honor is thicker than blood. What was honor here? Protecting his biological family? Or protecting the son who'd chosen law enforcement? The next day, Joe used FBI resources to research his old family. What he found broke his heart. Young capos making mistakes, violence escalating, traditional codes forgotten. This wasn't his Cosa Nostra anymore. This was just organized crime without honor. But Sunday dinner with Michael revealed a bigger problem. "Papa, I have a personal confession," Michael said. "This Castellano case, it's personal for me." Joe's heart stopped. Personal? My real last name is Castellano. I changed it when I joined the FBI. The Don they're looking for. He might be related to us. Maybe a distant cousin, I don't know. Family always said he disappeared. Joe nearly choked on his wine. His son knew the family connection, but not the full truth. "Michael, what if you found this Don alive? What would you do?" "My duty, Papa. Justice is justice, family or no family." At that moment, Joe realized something. His son had iron will too, stronger than his own. Michael had chosen justice over blood, law over family loyalty. Maybe this was Joe's real legacy. Not a Mafia empire, but a son with an unbreakable moral compass. The American dream wasn't just about success. It was about becoming better than your fathers. Michael had achieved this. Ever learned a value from your child? Type lesson from child. Wednesday morning, Joe made his choice. He used janitorial access one last time, but not to help family escape. He compiled everything. 30 years of intelligence he'd gathered, every conversation heard, every document seen, every operation planned. Complete history of FBI's Mafia investigations. But also, complete truth about remaining Castellano family operations. Their real structure, their actual crimes, their current activities. He prepared 2 packages. Package 1, to FBI, anonymous tip. Complete intelligence on actual Mafia operations with evidence that would ensure convictions. Package 2, to Castellano family. Warning to go legitimate immediately or face consequences, along with money he'd saved for 30 years to help them transition. Friday evening, the last day before raids, Joe visited Michael's office. "Director Castellano, I need to report something." Michael looked up from paperwork. "Joe? What are you doing here so late?" "I have information about your Castellano case. Very important." "Joe, you're a janitor. How could you have—" Joe placed an envelope on the desk. Inside, every piece of evidence needed for prosecutions, but also evidence that current family members were trying to go legitimate. "How did you get this?" "Sir, I cleaned this building for 30 years. I hear things, I see things. These Castellano people, they are not all bad. Some trying to change." Michael examined the documents, his eyes widening. "Joe, this is incredible intelligence, but also, it shows some of them are trying to go straight. What you do with this information, Director? Justice, Joe. Fair justice. Those who committed crimes will pay, those trying to change." Michael paused. "They deserve a chance at redemption." This was the American way. Justice tempered with mercy. Second chances for those willing to change. Ever made a difficult decision with iron will that turned out right? Type iron will decision. Saturday's raids went differently than planned. The FBI arrested actual criminals but also offered deals to family members trying to go legitimate. Several accepted, entering witness protection and starting clean businesses. Sunday dinner was quiet. Michael seemed thoughtful. Papa, the strangest thing happened yesterday. Oh. Our anonymous tipster. Something about his information felt personal, like he really knew these people, cared about them. Joe nodded silently. But Papa, I realized something. Real justice isn't just punishment. It's also redemption, giving people a chance to change. Very wise, son. You know what else? I've been thinking about the family name. Castellano. Maybe it's time I changed it back. Honor the good parts of heritage while rejecting the bad. Joe's eyes filled with tears. That would be molto ben. Very good. That night, Joe received a final call on the hidden phone. Don. Most of the family took deals, going straight, young ones starting legitimate businesses, old ones retiring quietly, the war's over. Good. And my name. Forget it, I am just Joe now. But Don. Number Don Castellano died 30 years ago. Joe Smith helped his son become a good man. That is a better legacy. This was the ultimate American immigrant story. Sacrificing the old world identity so the next generation could fully embrace the new world. Iron will message. True power isn't controlling others. It's having the iron will to let them choose their own path to redemption. 5 years later, Joe retired from the FBI. Michael, now using the name Michael Castellano again, became one of the most respected FBI directors in history. Known for fair justice and giving second chances. Joe bought a small Italian restaurant in Little Italy. Papa Joe's became a gathering place for former family members who'd gone legitimate. They'd come for authentic Sicilian food and wise advice. Michael would visit weekly. Other customers assumed he was just a successful son visiting his immigrant father. They never knew they were watching an FBI director dining with a former Mafia Don. In the restaurant's back room, Joe kept 2 photos. One, young Don Castellano with his family in Sicily, 1960s. 2, FBI Director Michael Castellano receiving the Medal of Honor for his work on the Organized Crime Task Force. Different paths, same honor. Sometimes former family members would ask, Joe, do you ever regret leaving the old life? No regrets. I raised a son with iron will to choose justice. That is better than any empire. And late at night, when the restaurant was closed, Joe would pray in Italian, Grazie Dio. I gave my son a better life than I had. This is true success. Real legacy isn't what you build. It's what your children choose to become. Joe's story teaches us iron will isn't about holding on to power. It's about having the strength to let go when letting go serves the greater good. For 30 years, the most powerful Mafia Don in America swept floors and emptied trash bins. Why? Because he had the iron will to choose his son's future over his own past. The American dream isn't just about success. It's about transformation. Immigrants came here not just for a better life, but for the chance to become better people. Joe Castellano proved that anyone can change. Even a legendary Don can become a humble janitor. Even a Mafia legacy can become FBI honor. In America, we believe in second chances. We believe people can change. We believe that with iron will, anyone can write a new chapter in their story. Joe wrote his new chapter with a mop and bucket. His son wrote his with a badge and the pursuit of justice. Together, they proved that the American dream isn't just about what you achieve. It's about who you choose to become. Subscribe to Iron Will Stories for more tales of people who chose transformation over tradition, justice over loyalty, love over power. If this story moved you and you understand what true strength means, please like and share. America is full of Joe Castellanos, people who gave up everything so their children could have everything. See you in our next Iron Will story. If this story moved you, type Iron Will Papa, because true strength is what you do for your children. Today, Michael Castellano serves as FBI Director Emeritus and teaches at the FBI Academy. His course, Ethics in Law Enforcement, When Family and Duty Conflict. He always begins with the same story. I once knew a janitor who taught me that real strength isn't about power. It's about choosing what's right, even when it costs you everything. Students never know he's talking about his father. Joe, now 75, still runs Papa Joe's. On Sunday evenings, the restaurant closes early. Family dinner, the sign says. Michael arrives with his wife and children, 3 generations around the table sharing pasta and stories. Joe's grandchildren call him Nonno Joe. They think he's just a sweet Italian grandfather who makes the best meatballs in Little Italy. Maybe that's the greatest victory of all. From Don to Nonno, from power to pasta, from feared to loved. This is Iron Will legacy. In America, we don't just change our names, we change our destinies. With Iron Will, anyone can transform not just their own life, but the lives of generations to come. Joe Castellano swept floors so his son could uphold justice. That's the power of Iron Will. That's the promise of America.